What is your name? And tell me a little bit about yourself.
My name is Sanchez, and I do a lot of community work. I also have my nonprofit organization that I started with my daughter because of my situation.
When I say domestic violence, what is the first thing that comes to mind?
Domestic violence took me to jail, so I kind of lost a lot of my time out here with my kids. So it was a lot of hurt that I have. So, like, when it comes to mind that I lost a lot of time with my family and I lost somebody that I truly loved.
Can you share your story leading up to the events that occurred?
Yes. So I had met up with an old boyfriend of mine that was young. He had kind of like took my virginity when I was a young girl. So he was like my heart. He was everything to me. We had both like separated, and he had 5 kids. I had 5 kids. I met this guy again, and it was like love at first sight all over again. I thought this was like a fairy tale. Like, oh my God, I done got pregnant. We got shocked up, and it was like supposed to be for me. It just felt like it was like, this is the man for me. I couldn't wait to have his baby. 3 months after I got pregnant and he moved in, he just started beating on me. And it was like, oh, I'm going out. And he would just beat on me because he wanted to hit the streets, or he would just beat on me because he felt like it, or blame it on like his addiction. And he was taking Percocets at the time. And so, he was dealing with like the streets and coming home and like other relationships. And it was like every time he wanted to go spend the night out with everybody else, he would bring me a whole lot of drama, fights in front of my kids. And I had other kids prior to the kid that I had with him. So throughout my whole pregnancy, he beat me. He beat me so bad, so many times. I thought I was going to have a miscarriage. We ended up like splitting because he tried to set me on fire the one time, and my daughter had to call the cops. So when my daughter called the cops, she had turned on the iron, and she was only like 10, and she just thought that she was going to protect her mother. So when she turned on this iron, she thought, I'm going to save my mom. So she took the iron towards him, like, get away from my mom. I'm all set on fire. So she shut my fire off. All my hair had caught on fire. And that's when I knew. I was like, I got to let this man go. Like, I can't put my kids through this. The cops had came because my neighbors called the cops. And they ended up locking him up. When they locked him up, still feared, just being raised here in North Philly in the hood, we get raised with, we can't speak to the law. We're not going to lock you up. We're not going to try to protect ourselves because we can't speak to the law again. So it's more like I didn't show up at court. So when I finally decided to show up the third court date, his parole agent had came to see me and told me that she couldn't do nothing about it unless I spoke up. My family members was calling her. So she was trying to get me to speak up, and I could not speak up. I did not want to speak up. Third court day came, I spoke to my daughter, and she's like, Mom, we're going to speak up. Because they sent her a witness letter because she was the one who called the cops. So we showed up at court, and the system failed me. They let him go. They said that I was telling them too much things. He had broke my toe before, flipped it backwards I thought it was romantic, massaging my feet, flipped my toes backwards, put me in pain. Now I had a cast on my leg. And then it was just different occasions where he broke my nose, set me on fire. And it was like, oh no, this is doing too much. This is too much. You're coming up in here trying to lie on this man. They let him go. So when they let him go, not even a week later, he busts into my house. He breaks my car. He acts crazy. I had to stay with him. So I feared actually having to leave him again because I thought he was gonna harm me and my kids and break all my stuff, and I didn't want him back. So we ended up going out the one day after he stayed at my house, a week after they let him go, and it was practically forced me to go out with him. And then after the fact, we went out. We actually had a good time. And, we was dancing that night and everything. So by the time I decided that I wanted to come back home, it was too early for him to come back home. He didn't want to come back home. On my way home, he was beating me, shoving my face against the steering wheel, and just really beating me up so bad that when I got home, he beat me up so bad, he knocked me out unconscious. I woke up with blood all over me, and I didn't notice my car was outside. So I ran to the cops in the corner, and the cops was just sitting there, and they was like, oh, we're handling better problems right now. A guy had just died in a motorcycle. So I went back to my house. My neighbor ended up taking me to try to find my car. When I went to go try to find my car, and I found him with my car, he started beating me up again. So as he's beating me up and all that, my friend ended up going around the corner, so she never saw nothing that was going on. So now it's just me and him outside. He's beating on me and he's stomping on me, and he's just messing me up so bad. At the same time, he had one of my purses that he had stole from me that night with my car. So when he passed it to me, he had put a knife inside of that purse. So I noticed the steak knife was sticking out. So I thought to myself, let me try to protect myself to keep this man away from me. So I start swinging this knife around, and I just start swinging it around, and I'm like, just stay away from me. Please just stay away from me. So one of the times I swung it, it caught him, and it hit him right in his heart. So he started walking away, cursing me out and telling me he was gonna kill me and everything. And he already had kind of dragged me to this playground where there was a hole and everything in there, and it was just I thought he was gonna bury me. So I'm fighting for my life, and I'm just fighting for my life. So I ended up leaving and walking away without my car or nothing. And the girl ended up coming back around the corner. I jumped back in her car, and I left. Never did I thought that I had stabbed him to death. Literally. The first stab, the only stab, it stabbed him right through his heart, and he ended up dying. So when he walked inside of the hall across the street, he passed away by himself in there. The next day, it was they were searching for me. They were saying that I killed him, and I just couldn't believe it, because I'm what? I didn't even see no blood. I didn't see all that. I don't believe this. I couldn't believe that that has transpired from that fight we had last night, because we was always fighting. He always beat me. He was always beating me so bad I would have to wake up and figure out how I'm gonna cover up the next black eye or the black and blue, and just go back to the Mac store and cover up my face better, because I was always black and blue. Yeah, at that point I know it was real, I just lost not only my baby dad, my first love, somebody I truly cared about.
Were there any moments when you sought help to try to escape from the experience?
I did. So when he ended up going to jail that I didn't want to pursue with pressing charges with him and stuff like that, I thought, maybe he'd just stay away from me if I don't, give him the attention. I don't want him around here. I don't want you coming around. And I'm thinking if I don't call the law on you, just stay away from me. You got other females, please just stay away from me. And I'm thinking my family right here across the street, so I'm be safe. But nobody ever saved me. Every time I screamed inside my house, and every time I was by myself.
How did you feel immediately after that incident?
I didn't know how to feel. And I don't even know how to feel to this day about that. I lost somebody. Not only, I don't believe that any man, even if they did something harsh to somebody, deserves to pass away. I have a daughter now that doesn't have a father. So every day I look at her and I can see him. Her birthday's this week, and it's she looks so much like him right now.
What was your experience with the legal system after that incident?
So I ended up getting locked up for first-degree murder, and it was so hard. At the time, I went to jail and I'm fighting first-degree murder. They don't want to put this murder down. We don't have self-defense laws here in Pennsylvania, which means that you have to do time. Whether you carry an illegal gun and you shoot somebody, whether you stab somebody, if the person passes away, you're going to do some time. So here I am fighting first-degree murder for 5 years. They never put the first-degree murder down. I'm thinking I'm about to get life. The first deal they threw at me was 60 years to 120. And I'm thinking, like, I'm never coming home. Like, I'm not ever going to see daylight. I'm going to get life behind bars. And I was just wishing not to get double digits, not to get letters, because it's either life, double digits, or single digits, and I know I'm coming home soon. And that's what happened. I ended up getting 5 years and another 10 years of probation on top of that. So I ended up doing 7.5 years in jail. They gave me third-degree murder, and still walking off probation time.
How has this experience shaped your perspective on domestic violence?
It's harsh because I went through this. Now, like, I don't even want to be dating. Like, I don't even want no nigga looking at me. Like for a while, I just thought, like I don't want to love again because it's going to be, like, hard again. Or, like, I'm going to put my kids through something. So even if I decided to be with somebody, it's so hard because if I look at somebody, my kids are so traumatized. It traumatizes me. They would never want to see me with nobody because they just want to see me happy. But they fear me going through something so bad that I think, like, I put them through something if I be with somebody. You know what I'm saying? So I'd rather just stay by myself so that, like, that I know that, like, all this time that was missed with them, I'm gradually gaining it back because I lost my kids. I lost custody of my kids, and, like, I'm just gaining all that stuff back even after 5 years of being home.
What challenges have you faced in rebuilding your life since those moments?
So when I was locked up, my oldest child, was in college, and I'm like, I want to go home and I want to start a nonprofit organization helping women of domestic violence. And I want to help the youth that have families that are incarcerated. And she was like, yes, Mom, I want to do that. Like, so we was trying to figure out how we was going to put this nonprofit together. So we ended up putting it together. She helped so much, a lot. She put all the paperwork together before I came home. And it was my gift to me that this paperwork was already done when I came home. And we just been helping a lot of women in domestic violence and ex-offenders just get back acclimated. And I think for me, helping the people helps me.
What do you wish people understood about women in abusive relationships and the decisions that they make?
It's one question that I hate when they ask the people. It's like, why didn't you leave? Why wouldn't you ask me why did I stay? Or why, like, why didn't you help me? Or why somebody guide me out of this? Because we love so hard that we decide that we want to stay. We got kids, and it's just so hard for us to just pick up and go, especially this is my household. I got my kids in here. And, yeah, it's just pretty hard.
Do you believe there's anything that that you could actually bring to any programs or organizations right now, since you have the knowledge that you have concerning domestic violence?
Yeah, so right now my nonprofit organization is called Unbreakable Me. You can look us up on Facebook, Instagram, website, Unbreakable Me, and we help by mentoring you. We might help you by taking your kids to see your fathers, mothers, anybody incarcerated. We also try to help you if you come out of jail and you need somebody to mentor you and set you in the right direction, give you jobs, or just get you ready for life skills, like your resume building, anything that you might need. If we don't do it, we always get somebody else to do it. So we're like the go-to person. So I can connect you with anybody else in the city that might be doing what you might need.
What message would you give to someone currently in an abusive relationship who feels trapped?
I would say seek for help. Call that 1-800 number. We can't help you unless you want the help. Like, you gotta want the help. You gotta want to walk away, because when you want to, us as being in a domestic violence relationship, we're so scared that we don't reach out for the help. But we can only receive that help if we reach out for that help.
Is there life after domestic violence?
What happened?
Is there life after domestic violence?
There is a life after domestic violence, but the trauma still stays. The trauma is hard to let go of. We hold on to that trauma, that fear, that touch, that feeling, that smell, whatever you went through while you was in that relationship, it always come back to you. No matter where you at. And it's kind of crazy when you say smell, because sometimes I get a whiff and I'm like, smell like him, or it's just something that brings me back to that moment. The feeling. This is always something.